Hey guys, welcome back to Ambition.
Hello, everyone.
back with some spice.
Yeah, it's just us today as well, no guests.
Exactly. This is episode 22. So this one is just a quick chat about how far we've come. I want to share some stats with you guys. So apparently, we are in the top 1% of the world's podcast because you only need to publish 21 to get into the big leagues. And so we just really want to celebrate that and talk about the mindset and the learnings that has brought us this far.
Yeah, well, I think for me, I remember when we started this and you told me this fact at the very start, and we were like, well, we've got to get there. But it seemed like a huge mountain to climb, didn't it? That would we get this far? But actually, it hasn't. It's been way less difficult than I thought it was going to be.
I think so as well. And I wonder why that is. Why do you think it's? I suppose when you're looking at starting something, it always seems a bit overwhelming. But once you get into it, then you realize that you probably overthought. You thought about it too much at the beginning.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, a couple of people that I know that I've reached out to and suggested they come on. They're like, "Oh, come on a podcast." Like, I don't know whether I can do that. And I'm like, actually, it's just talking.
Which is one of my favorite things.
Which I think of all the things that used to be written on my school reports, talking was definitely up there as something I excelled at.
Never would have thought that, Alex.
It wasn't phrased as a good thing back then, though, but it's serving me well now.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that. That's your competitive advantage because we all have something, right? We all have something that perhaps we can do well than other people. And maybe when we're young, we'll get criticized for it. But as time goes on, actually, it plays well to your strength. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I like to pride myself in being able to talk to pretty much anybody. I can find something to talk to them about. And yeah, I would now say that's one of my key skills.
I love that. So yeah, I mean, I suppose we want to obviously do this episode as well as a way to encourage anyone who wants to start anything, because that at one point we were at number 1 and now we're at number 21. So the question for you, any mothers out there with an ambition, with a burning desire, is what do you need to get started on that you're waiting for the perfect time to do? And if not now, then when?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, one of my I had a quote I want to share, and it's by Brendan Burchard, and it says, "Perfectionism is procrastination masquerading as quality control." And I think we overthink things. Before we start anything, we want it to be perfect, want to strategize, want to have a plan, want to have something perfect before we actually do something. And a lot of times we're using that as just an excuse. And I think the key is balancing that plan, that strategy with actually taking action. Because unless you put it out there, then it's not a thing, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure that you're not perfecting the idea in your head before making it real in the world.
I mean, I feel like it's such a common thing as well that I feel a bit called out by that. It's really easy to get caught up in that planning stage and feel like it's tricking your brain into thinking you're taking action when actually you're right. Until you've actually started to do it, it doesn't exist. It's just in your mind.
Yeah, there was someone I listened to the other day. And he was saying that he's started a new thing where he doesn't tell people he's doing something unless he's done it. He tells them what he's done, and he doesn't tell people what he's doing anymore. And I love that. This idea of, because like I said, exactly what you said there, our brains feel good when we talk about what we're going to do because it almost as if we're doing it. So this idea of only talking about what you've done, that is a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly making you like accountable to what you're doing, isn't it? You've had to do it before you talk about it, because I guess you can have whole conversations about the book you want to write or the podcast you want to start, but unless you're actually doing it, It doesn't exist. And
Mm.
that feeling, you're right, that you get that same buzz and same feeling by talking about it rather than action.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No, I really liked that. Okay. So, and also I think we also thought what would be useful as part of this conversation is to kind of take you guys behind the scenes a bit. Like, what is the mindset? What is the disciplines? What is the thought process that has allowed us to actually put this into action? And I think number one is consistency. We have, regardless of what's happening in the family with the children, we have this habit of publishing an episode every week.
Yeah.
And it's just something we do now. So I think a lot of consistency is making things very simple, because when you make a habit easier to do, you're more likely to do it. And I get a lot of that from Atomic Habits, the books by, I believe it's James Clear.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
I love it. I've listened to I haven't read it.
Okay.
I've listened, although apparently, listening to an audiobook is still like reading a book. But I've listened to it a few times actually.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good book because there's habits we are a culmination of the habits we do and the things we do, and over time it's good to always look at how you can make habits easier. Like, for example, when people want to go running, they have a habit of putting their trainers by the door, and they're more likely to go running, because by the time you're looking for your trainers, you're like, oh, forget it. Can't run today. And a lot of people do that. Another thing, I remember Alex Hormozy is this entrepreneur, well-known guy in that sort of personal development space, and he was talking about how he hates so he doesn't like the feeling of sun lotion. He doesn't like the feeling of sun lotion on his hands. Actually, no, scrap that. He was saying how he needs to obviously put on sun lotion, right? And it's something he always forgets to do because he doesn't like lotion on his hands, but he knows he needs to do it, obviously, to keep his skin, good and looking good over the years. So what he started doing was putting his sun lotion next to his computer every single day. And what that meant was it just made it easier for him to do it every day. And I think that's how simple we need to break down the things that are important to us. So, for example, obviously with this podcast, we have a habit of recording every single week,
and that's like come hell or high water, really, isn't it? Like
it really has.
You
have to do an
what's going on in the background?
Exactly. Well, I know this needs to be done, and it's interesting how when you have that mindset and what you actually get done, rather than kind of overthinking it or not getting around to it, right? Because it's another thing to do.
Yeah, like this is just one of our commitments, isn't it? And it's not like, oh, if we feel like recording today, sometimes we're struggling to find a time that we can do it. I mean, we've recorded in our pajamas, we've recorded really late at night, we've recorded when children are in bed, before children are in bed, after children are up at the weekends, like you name it, we've done it. But we have made sure, I think we might have missed like 1 week towards the start, but apart from that, we have consistently put one out every week. And I really think now, I just expect that we're going to do that.
Yeah. No, we have to, because I've got into this habit of publishing one every Sunday. And if I don't do one on Sunday, I will feel like, what are you doing? So I think it's important to hold yourself to high standards, especially if you want to do something. We don't have to do this. So, there's other things I'd maybe not rather do, but other things I could do with this time.
Could be doing,
It's important. Yeah. When you think it's important as well, I think you get it done. Yeah.
And I think that like the more conversations that we have with like guests and stuff like that, and kind of hear about their stories, the more you realize that everybody's busy, everybody's doing stuff. But it's about what you're choosing to do, isn't it? And how you choose to like fit that into your life, which sounds like it's not easy for anybody. But yeah, I think you're right about mindset, that's a really big factor in being able to do it.
Absolutely. Another thing that I consider as well, in terms of what could hold people back, but we all need to overcome, and I think we're working on this process. I think it's the idea of fear and that consciousness about what people think. What do you think about, Alex, in terms of how this kind of fits into this that we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think that stuff about perfectionism and procrastination, that all goes back to fear. Actually, I think that, you know, you might do it and it might be rubbish, and that's if you're just talking about it in your head, like thinking about it to yourself, you can imagine it as perfect, and you can imagine the great success you're going to have, and it's like a little dream of, oh, in the future I'll be really successful, in the future I'll have this. But actually, if you're not taking like the steps towards it, are the things that build that success. And if you're putting it off, it's because you're afraid of failing, but you've already failed if you're not trying.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we just this week we were both at a funeral. A really good friend sadly lost his mum, and you know, I talk about death a lot because I think it's very important in terms of just accepting that we're not here forever. And I always think about that. And even just this week, I was thinking about our friend that lost his mom, and you know, such a sad time. But luckily, we were able to be there with him. And a lot of times, I kind of see myself at my own funeral or at my own death. And I remember, actually, funny enough, I said to my husband this week, I said, "Oh, I wonder if he will come to my funeral." And you know what he said to me? He said, "Well, personally, I don't care who comes to my funeral. I'll be dead." And I thought, wow, that's sad, but also, I mean, sometimes you need to think about this things, like live your life. And I think, you know, I mean, we're not here forever, and the more we get living, the quicker we get living, the urgency we live our lives, the more we can get more out of it, however long or short. And I think when we think about death in that way, and the fact that it's coming for us all, I think it creates, for me personally anyway, it creates this urgency to live well and to do things that matter.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, you raise a really good point. And I think I can talk about this because my cousin's quite out there with this. But my cousin, she has stage 4 cancer. She's quite young. You know, she's just turned 30. She's just got married, and she has got what she's calling like a living list. Because obviously, you know, to have that diagnosis at a young age is really earth-shattering, and has been for our whole family. She talks about it on TikTok. Her name's Claire Sacco, if anyone wants to find her.
How do you spell Sacco? So
Sacco, oh yeah, forget that it's an unusual name. It's SACCO.
Okay.
She's amazing. She's like the most inspirational person ever. So she's developed this living list to like squeeze every, you know, she is having treatment, and she is really positive and wants to get as much out of the life that she has as possible. And the living list that she's developed is super cool. And she is getting on with it as well. Like, she really is. So her and her husband Alex are currently in Alaska. They're doing so much traveling. She's going to be on a program with Bill Bailey where she's having her portrait painted, you know, the comedian Bill Bailey. So she's going to be on there. She plans to be on like a quiz show as part of her living list. She's done a skydive. She had a lesson on completing a Rubik's Cube from somebody from Rubik's, like some sort of like Rubik's Cube master.
I love it.
I'm trying to think what else. She's got like a whole list of stuff that she wants to do. And her attitude to life, you know, I think it would be so easy to be flawed by that diagnosis. But she is really, really taking life and grabbing it and just doing everything that she's ever fancied doing. Like, the amount that she's traveling is incredible. Like, whenever I speak to her, and she's actually setting up her own charity at the moment, which is aimed at young people who have cancer, because there's a bit of a gap between like the Teenage Cancer Trust and then like Marie Curie, which is generally aimed at like older people. But there's a bit of a gap in the middle for like people who are living with cancer, who are you know, late 20s, early 30s, and like what that means for their lives. So she's setting up a charity. She's just an inspiration, really. But what really, really gets me is her like lust for life, and her attitude of every second counts. You know, she's not letting anything pass her by. And you could take that diagnosis and just be really upset and not focus on what you want to do, but she's doing the opposite of that. She's like the most positive person ever.
But it's interesting, isn't it, how that diagnosis are giving her this urgency.
Mm-hmm.
It's always interesting how we wait. I don't know, until there's something that, limits us from living. That's when we actually start living. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's also very inspiring that she's chosen that path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think trying to not let fear hold you back is such a big thing. And I think it's a difficult thing as well, because it's very easy to get sort of sidetracked by that fear, isn't it?
Absolutely. But I think you've got to, I think it's all about making it real. And like I said, we all have something we hang it on. For you, like you said, it could be your cousin, and looking at her, she's living. Like, wow, she's has this diagnosis, but she's living a life. Am I living my life?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's my mom died when I was 9. Like, literally, I'm the age my mom was now when she died, and I'm here alive, and I've got these 2 young children. So it's always at the back of my head in a positive way. Like, oh my God, like, life's short. Like, it's very real for me. And because of that, I am one of those people, I tend to say yes to things I want to do. Like, every single day I'm living my dreams. I'm not wasting time. Like, and I think, again, for me, it's put a lot of things into perspective about what people think. Like, I would think what anyone thinks about me is none of my business. I think Michelle Minikin said that last week, our guest. That was one of her advice to her younger self was, who cares what people think? Like, don't care what people think. They're not even thinking about you. So I think that's quite a big fear we have in society. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt that I was like looking at quotes the other day, and she was like, anybody who's worried about what people think of them should be reassured by how seldom, like, they'd be reassured if they knew how seldom other people were thinking of them. It's like, actually, yeah. It's like a bit of a backhanded compliment, that one, isn't it? But it's true.
We really do worry. Oh my God, that person looked at me in a funny way. Oh my God, they don't like me. Yeah, I think it's very important to really like sit with that and think, what would you do if people didn't care about you in that way anyway? Like, watching you.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say that I don't, like, I've talked about this before. Like, I do not suffer from like thinking like, oh, they looked at me in a funny way, or like, I don't think about it really that much. What I also liked about Michelle, when we were talking with her the other week, she was talking about her ADHD, and she said like, oh, she just thought she was weird. Like, I thought that. And I guess as a teenager, like, not about her, I thought that potentially I was just a bit weird. As a teenager, I definitely sort of was a bit more worried about being different. Whereas now, I think like, it's fine to be a bit weird. Like, it's totally fine. And like, all of this consideration of like what people are thinking about you, I don't stop and think about it a lot. But I think if you do, that is going to be one of the things that hold you back. I mean, we know, don't we, that having like started this, that like probably some of our friends are like, why have they
got podcast? Yeah.
Why have they got a podcast? What do these do?
All that needs to be said. No, but I think it's yeah, you're right. I think it's weird out. It's the things that this is your competitive advantage. It's that weirdness, that uniqueness, that kind of like uniqueness of mind. It can also be hard because you can be around people and you think, I want to start a podcast. They're like, why? So
yeah.
And also that's why I think it's important to find your tribe, or to find people that find your people. Like, there are people in the world that they just want to get on with it, just want to go to work, come back, they don't care. They're just like, life is great, and I'm happy for them. But sometimes I have these thoughts about life. I have these dreams I want to achieve. I want to start a podcast. I want to inspire women and to chase their ambitions, and that's something that is very important to me. I think because it's important, I think it has to be done. So yeah, I think it's important to accept your uniqueness of mind and allow it to kind of take you down that journey of who you can be. Yeah, especially when you're a mom, when you are, you do have real limitations on your time and energy. You really do.
And I think that with that, what you said there about like saying yes to the things that you find really important. Again, it's like the flip side of that is, and saying no, like, because you're embracing yourself, saying no to the things that don't really matter to you. Don't just say yes to please others. embrace your weird, embrace the things that appeal to you, and push back on the stuff that you're not bothered about. You haven't got time to do everything, so make every second count, spend it on the stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, this is it. So it's, life is short, time is of the essence. Make it count. And lastly, I think what this podcast represents is important to us. I think the more guests we have, the more people we speak to, we realize that there's a lot of people who are behind the curtains thinking about how they're going to balance ambition with motherhood. And the more we have those conversations, the more I'm inspired and fired up to keep doing this.
Yeah, me too. I think it's been really eye-opening talking to people and like hearing their different stories. And I think the final thing for me is like, start whatever you're thinking about doing. Start it messy, start it today. It doesn't have to be perfect. And if you'd started a year ago, where would you be now? And that's what you need to think about to kind of drive yourself forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. We are looking forward to getting to if we're at 1% now, we're going to get to like the top 0.5%. We do 20. When we publish this, actually, 22.
Woo!
Yeah, absolute pleasure, guys. Just please follow your dreams. It's not always easy, but it's definitely worth it.
I'm going to be following my dreams tomorrow, Tiffany.
What are you doing tomorrow?
You're doing it with me. We're going to be dancing in the daytime.
Dancing, guys. So yeah, live your life, dance more, just enjoy the journey. Take care, everyone. See you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.